Good morning, friends. This is Dr. Ghansham Chavan. Welcome in this session of Human Anatomy and Physiology 2. This is the third lecture on endocrine system. In this today's presentation, we will discuss about the thyroid gland and parathyroid gland. We will start from the thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is having the weight near about 30 gram, and it is at the anterior neck of trachea, just inferior to the larynx. Here you can see its position. This thyroid gland is having two lobes, right lobe and left lobe. Both the lobes are connected with each other with the help of this isthmus. There is also a third lobe. That third lobe is called as pyramidal lobe. About 50% of thyroid gland have small third lobe. Now the microscopical spherical sacs are called as thyroid follicles. These thyroid follicles are able to produce the follicular cells. These thyroid gland are able to release two types of hormones. One is T3 and another is T4. What is T3? T3 is nothing but the triiodothyronine and T4 is called as tetraiodothyronine. Tetraiodothyronine is commonly known as thyroxine. Both the hormones are secreted by this thyroid gland, and this T3 and T4 are secreted by the stimulation of pituitary gland, which can secrete the thyroid stimulating hormone. Just a minute. The wall of each follicle consists of primary cells called as follicular cells, most of which extend to the lumen of follicles. A basement membrane surrounds each follicle. When the follicular cells are inactive, their shape is locuboidal to squamous. But under the influence of thyroid stimulating hormone, they become active and secrete and range from the cuboidal to low columnar in shape. The follicular cells produce two hormones. It is thyroxine, which is also called as tetraiodothyronine, and another is triiodothyronine. It is also called as T3. T3 and T4 together are also known as thyroid hormones. A few cells called parafollicular cells, it is also called as C cells, and these C cells are able to produce the another hormone which is called as calcitonin, which is an important hormone which is required for the regulation of calcium homeostasis. Accompanied with the parathyroid hormone, it controls the level of calcium. Where the calcitonin is involved in the calcium and phosphorus metabolism also. Thyroid is composed of spherical follicles. The follicle cells are nothing but the structural and functional unit of these thyroid gland. They produce thyroglobulin. It is a precursor for thyroid hormone, that is thyroxine. Colloid lumen is of thyroglobulin, and the parafollicular C cells produce calcitonin. Here you can see this is the follicular cells, and the blue colored cells are called as parafollicular C cells, which produce the calcitonin, and these follicular cells will produce the thyroglobulin, which is required for the production of T3 and T4. Here also this is the follicle cells, and this is the colloid filled follicles. This is the colloid. This is the areolar connective tissue. Now here we will discuss the formation, storage and release of thyroid hormones. In that first point is iodine trapping. Now in this whole process we will discuss about the how the formation of T3 and T4 occurs and how their interconversion occurs from T3 to T4. First of all, we should know that what is the role of iodine here. Iodine is very important for the production of thyroid hormone. That's why the people who are lacking iodine in their diet, in their intake, so they are complaining regarding the hypothyroidism or they are also having problem of goiter. Nowadays it is very uncommon, but in early days most of the people who are living at the tribal areas, they can't able to get the balanced intake of iodine. That's why the government have made mandatory to increase or to get the intake of iodine into the normal salt. So whatever the salt which you are getting from the factory, it is mandatory addition of iodine occurs in that. So that much small, very rare amount is required, but that much amount of iodine is especially mandatory. It is necessary to produce the thyroid hormone into our body, because the thyroid stimulating hormone will release from our pituitary gland, but it is the role of thyroid gland to produce the T3 and T4, and without iodine it is just impossible to produce thyroid hormones. So mind it well, the thyroid gland not itself is able to produce the T3 and T4. Iodine is required. So for that, in that various stages are there, how the T3 and T4 are produced, that various stages are there, that we will see one by one. In that, first is iodine trapping, means whatever iodine we are taking into our diet, that is going to be trapped, that is going to be taken. So thyroid follicle cells trap iodine, which is iodine minus in iron. So it is actively transported them into the bloodstream. It will come into the bloodstream, and cytosol, means of the cell of our thyroid gland, it comes there, and as a result the thyroid gland normally contains most of the iodine in the body. Now next stage is synthesis of thyroglobulin. So while the follicle cells are trapping iodine, so whatever these follicle cells are there, these follicle cells, when they are trapping the iodine inside the cell, inside this matrix, what happens? They are also synthesizing thyroglobulin, a large glycoprotein that is produced in the rough endoplasmic reticulum. They modified the Golgi complex and packed into the secretory cells. These vesicles then undergo exocytosis, which release thyroglobulin into the lumen of the follicles. Now they will release the thyroglobulin into the lumen. After this, next important stage is oxidation of iodide. Whatever the iodide ion, I minus ion is getting produced, so how it is going to be oxidized, means what is oxidation? There is addition of oxygen into that iodine ion. So some of the amino acids or thyroglobulin are thyroxines that will become iodinated. However, negatively charged iodide ions cannot bind to the thyroxyl until they undergo oxidation. Oxidation means removal of electrolytes to the iodine, that is twice I is equal to I2. As iodide ions are being oxidized, they pass through the membrane into the lumen of follicles. Now next process is iodination of tyrosine. Iodination of tyrosine, as iodine molecules I2 is formed, means 2 minus ions of I, means iodine minus plus iodine minus, under the influence of oxygen, oxidation occurs, they will produce the I2. Now this I2 is produced, they react with the tyrosine, that are the part of thyroglobulin molecules, and binding to the one iodine atom yield monoiodotyrosine, which is called as MIT, monoiodotyrosine is going to be formed. And the second iodination produces diiodotyrosine, which is called as DIT, means 2 molecules of iodine is going to be involved here, and in earlier stage 1 molecule of iodine is going to be involved, monoiodotyrosine. Now next, coupling. This coupling is very important. If coupling depends on the process, coupling decides which hormone and how much hormone is going to be produced. Coupling is very important. Try to understand. I will explain you how coupling play a major role for the which hormone will produce and how much it will produce. So in that coupling of T3 and T4. During the last step in the synthesis of thyroid hormone, two T2 molecules means 2 diiodotyrosine, 2 DIT, diiodotyrosine will combine to produce T4, which is called as thyroxine. What is our major role? To produce the thyroxine. And in case of the coupling, if 2 T2 will join, they will produce the thyroxine, which is important, which is active form, which is palatable, acceptable for our body. Whereas when the one T1 and one T2 will join, they will form the T3. T3 is very potent, but it is in inactive form, which is not that much required for our body. What we require? Our body is required thyroxine. Thyroxine is directly bound to our plasma protein and which is ready to show its action. T3 can't show its action. Try to understand what I am telling. What is our major point is here? To get involved the role of T4, to get acceptability, to get the availability of T4 thyroxine into the cytosol, into the cell, into the follicular cells. So due to which more T4 will produce, more thyroxine produce, and it is able to produce its action in our body. Next is pinocytosis and digestion of colloid. Droplets of colloid re-enter follicular cells by pinocytosis, means entry. Pinocytosis means entry, and merge with lysosomes. Lysosomes are, as you know, it is a digestive enzymes. It will merge, and what are the follicular cells are there? They will digest. So digestive enzymes in the lysosomes break down the thyroglobulin and cleaving of molecules of T3 and T4. So digestive enzymes will do the breakdown of that thyroglobulin, and it will produce. It will means simply it will forget T3 and T4, which has been already produced by the coupling reactions. Now secretion. Next process is secretion of thyroid hormone. Now between T3 and T4 are lipid soluble. They diffuse through the plasma membrane into the interstitial fluid and then into the blood. T4 normally is secreted in greater quantity than T3, but T3 is several times more potent. As I already discussed, T3 is more potent, but it is in inactive form. It is not bind to the plasma protein. What is our expected thyroid hormone? It is T4. T4 is produced at more quantity, but their level should be normalized, regularized, because there is conversion occurs from T4 to T3. Moreover, the T4 enters a body cell, most of it is converted to T3 by removal of 1 iodine, and this reaction is irreversible once T4 has been formed, and if T4 is get converted into the T3, it is irreversible, means T4 number or T4 level has been declined. So that depends on our body requirement. If body requires less T4, in that case only the conversion occurs. But once it has been converted to T3, T3 doesn't revert back into the T4. Mind it well. Once T3 produce, it never revert back to T4. That's why body should very cleverly convert that T4 into T3. And the final stage is transport into the blood. More than 99% of both the T3 and T4 combine with transport protein in the blood, mainly thyroxine binding globulin. Now, one thing also you should know, as if your body is having T3 sufficient, because T3 also thyroid hormone, so the message goes through the receptor, through the blood toward the brain that there is thyroid hormone sufficient quantity present in our body. So due to that message, what will happen? There is the less secretion of thyroid stimulating hormone, and due to which less thyroid hormone will produce. And that is also another example of hypothyroidism. That's why the thyroid hormone, T3 hormone, should be produced at control rate. Means conversion should be controlled, not in some cases, in some disease, in some problematic, in some autoimmune disease, it may be vice versa. The rate of conversion may be increased, which is problematic, because these thyroid hormones are required for the various setups, for the various use. Now here the example of feedback loop that we should know how the feedback occurs. Now the example is, a certain item in the blood decreases, means the suppose thyroid hormone thyroxine T4 is going to be decreased, thyroxine which is decrease. A certain area of brain sense this decrease, which is hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is getting the message from the various receptors, it is getting the message, after it is taking the action by effector, receptor, and it is a control unit, CPU. Now next, certain hormone is released, so the thyrotropin releasing factor or hormone is released from the hypothalamus. This hormone stimulates the release of another hormone. Which hormone will release here? TSH, thyroid stimulating hormone, will release from the pituitary gland. This other hormone stimulates the release of the hormone which has sensed to be decreased in the first place, causing it to be increased to desired level. So due to that thyroid stimulating hormone, whatever the hormone is released, that is T4, means thyroxine has been released, decreased. So due to which it sensitizes that, and it give order to the thyroglobulin, to the follicle cells, to the thyroid gland to release this thyroxine from the thyroid globulin into the thyroxine. So in this fashion, this thyroxine, this T4, this tetraiodothyronine is going to be released into our follicular cells. Now these are the some effects of thyroid hormone that we should know. It is very, very important in case of digestion, in case of the metabolism. It maintains our basal metabolic rate. Means whatever we are eating, whatever food we are taking, how fastly we are going to digest, we are going to metabolize that completely depends on our thyroid level. If you are having good thyroid level, you can digest any food by very fast rate. And if you are having less thyroid level in your body, definitely your rate of digestion, your rate of metabolism is going to be affected. It will slow down. So here it will increase the basal metabolic rate and the rate of oxygen consumption under the standard of basal condition, and by stimulating the use of cellular oxygen to produce ATP. It is responsible for awake, rest and fasting. When the basal metabolic rate increases, cellular metabolism of carbohydrates, lipids and proteins will increases. So it will increase all the rates of all the types of foods, and also it will going to be used into the energy, because it will immediately digest and immediately utilize that for the various purposes. It also affects the various throughout body, various actions. For example, protein synthesis. This thyroid hormone is having great role for the protein synthesis. It also is responsible for the lipolysis, lipid lysis. It is also responsible for use of various fatty acids, use of various glucose molecules for the ATP production, and it is also responsible for the cholesterol excretion from the revolving cholesterol, which is revolving in our blood cells, into our blood vessels through blood. So it will also decrease the level of cholesterol, which is good for our body. And next is bone growth. This thyroid hormone not only increase from the childhood, the thyroid hormone will release, and suppose if it will decrease at the childhood release of thyroid hormone, what will happen? It will retard your skeletal bone formation. Also it will affect on our neuronal formation, means your nerve development. So our mental retardation will occur, as well as the bone growth, the skeletal growth also going to be hindered due to the less secretion of thyroid hormone. So this thyroid hormone is very essential for the bone development, for the development of your stature. Your body structure is going to be developed by our this thyroid hormone. They are very very vital role, not only our bone but also the nervous formation, the neuronal maturation, the nervous system development. It also depends on our thyroid hormone. Next is cell differentiation. It also responsible for various cell differentiation. Next is upregulation of beta receptors. These, as we know, these thyroid hormones are having effects on catecholamines, means especially on epinephrine and non-epinephrine, which is acting on beta receptors, which is acting on heart. That's why they are able to produce the increase in heart rate, increasing force of contraction of heart. So that's why they are responsible for upregulation of beta receptors. They are controlling the effect of heart. They are increasing the heart rate. They are having effects. They are having the sympathetic effects along with the sympathetic receptors, sympathetic system. They are increasing the heart rate. They are having major role for the homeostasis in critical condition. Also, the thyroid hormone is able to contain the heart rate, able to maintain the heart rate at any condition. And next important function is chalogenic effects. This chalogenic effects is also very vital effects. It can be produced by enhancing the sodium potassium pump into the follicular cells. They are enhancing that pump, and due to which what happens, whatever the sodium ions are there, they are released from the cytosol, and the potassium ions are taken back into the cell. And this, and whatever the process is there, for that it will consume the ATP. So ATP consumption is there, and due to which the energy is going to be produced. So there is continue production of and use of more and more ATP, and due to that heat is going to be formed, and that heat generation is nothing but the chalogenic effect is there. So heat generation is responsible for the normal maintenance of body temperature. So either or in any critical condition, even we mammals can survive at freezing temperature. Why? Due to the thyroid hormone. Thyroid hormone are maintaining our internal environment. They are to maintain our internal temperature at 37 degrees Celsius only due to this thyroid hormone. Suppose if any person have removed their thyroid gland due to any problem, in any cancerous cell or any problem, so that person cannot able to maintain his body temperature. He cannot survive. But we can survive at freezing temperature also. We know our soldiers are living at Ladakh, at Jammu Kashmir, at minus 30 degrees Celsius also. They are surviving at freezing temperature. Due to what purpose? Due to only this thyroid hormone. This thyroid hormone is having role to generate the calories, to generate the ATP, to generate the heat in their body, to maintain the internal temperature by performing the homeostasis. So in this fashion, this thyroid hormone is having great role in our body. The effect of calcitonin. This is the another cells. They are the parafollicular cells. They are also called as C cells, which are available in our thyroid gland. They are available at the different spaces. They are blue in color, and when the blood levels, calcium levels are very high, so they are having role to decrease the blood calcium level. When the blood calcium level is too much high, in that condition they will decrease that calcium level, and calcitonin lower the calcium level by slowing the calcium releasing activity of osteoclast. So the osteoclast are there. So from the extracellular matrix, what they are doing, they are increasing the calcium secretion by the kidneys. So whatever the calcium secretion is there, due to which the calcium loss occurs from our body. So what is our role? To maintain the calcium level. If calcium level is already too much, so what we are doing, we have to decrease the releasing of this calcium from the osteoclast, means from the bones, by the bone resorption. Bone resorption, from the extracellular matrix, the calcium will release into the blood. So we have to slow down this reaction, slowing the reactions. Try to understand. It is the homeostasis. Naturally, when we are having less calcium level at that time from the bone, it will immediately come, it will release from the bone. Now what this is doing? This is stopping that condition, decreasing that reaction, that process, due to which the calcium, blood calcium can be decreased and act mostly during the childhood. Now this calcitonin, if you will see, they can decrease the level of calcium in the blood by inhibiting the action of osteoclast and the cell breakdown bone extracellular matrix, and the secretion of calcitonin is controlled by negative feedback mechanism. That is very important. When the blood level is high, calcitonin lowers the amount of blood calcium and phosphates by inhibiting the bone resorptions. Now next is parathyroid gland. This parathyroid gland is having weight near about 40 gram, and it is partially embedded in the posterior surface of lateral lobes of thyroid gland. These tissue are called as parathyroid gland. Each mass of about 40 mg. Usually the superior and one inferior parathyroid glands are attached to each lateral thyroid lobe. So here this is the posterior aspects of pharynx, to which this thyroid gland is here, and these are the point shaped or P shaped. These four, means two pairs of parathyroid glands are available here. They are very small in shape. So the microscopically, the parathyroid glands contains two kinds of epithelial cells. The more numerous cells are called as chief cells. They are also called as principal cells. They are called as chief cells and produce parathyroid hormone. These chief cells able to produce the parathyroid hormone, which is a key hormone from parathyroid gland, which is an important hormone. These are the chief cells. This is the chief cell from where the parathyroid hormone will release. The parathyroid hormone is also called as parrot hormone, P-A-R-A-T, parrot hormone, H-O-R-M-O-N-E, parrot hormone. And also called as parrot hormone, the function of other kind of cell, which is called as oxyphil cell. Another is called oxyphil cell. It is abundant, available. It is having unknown in normally parathyroid gland. However, its presence clearly helped to identify the parathyroid gland histologically due to the unique staining characteristics. Furthermore, in cancer of parathyroid glands, oxyphil cells secretes excess parathyroid hormone. So due to which oxyphil cells now don't have any role in normally, but in case of cancer, these oxyphil cells also start to secrete the parathyroid hormone. Mind it well. Normally it don't secrete parathyroid hormone. Who secrete parathyroid hormone? Chief cell will secrete the parathyroid hormone. Now this parathyroid hormone, it is a major regulatory hormone which levels the calcium and magnesium and phosphates ions in the blood. They are regulating all the three types of hormone in our blood. The specific action of parathyroid hormone is increase the number of activity of osteoclast, the result of elevated bone resorptions, which releases the ionic calcium phosphates and into the blood. Means after doing the resorption means they are demineralize our bones. And how they are demineralized? Whatever the osteoclasts are there, they are demolishing the osteoclast from the extracellular fluid. They are releasing that ions into the blood, and by which they are increasing the level of that calcium phosphate into our blood. And also this parathyroid hormone acts on the kidney. They are also acting on the kidney, and they slow down the rate of calcium and magnesium are the most from the blood into the kidney. They also slow down the release of the calcium and magnesium into the urine. Means they won't allow the calcium and magnesium to release into the urine. They will increase the reabsorption from the tubules. As you know, already discussed, we have discussed the urinary system. So from the peritubular arteries, from the tubules, they are doing the reabsorption of these calcium and magnesium ions into the blood, due to which they are increasing the level of calcium into the blood. And it also increases the phosphate from the blood into the urine, because more phosphate is lost in the urine than the gain from the bones. This parathyroid hormone decreases the blood phosphate level and increases the blood calcium and magnesium levels. Means they are doing the vice versa. They are exchanging phosphate ions with calcium and magnesium ions. Calcium magnesium ions are increased into the blood in place of phosphate ions. The third effect of parathyroid hormone is on the kidney to promote the formation of hormone calcitriol. The next hormone is there, calcitriol, which is the activated form of vitamin D, that one should know. This calcitriol, they are also known as 1,25 dihydroxy vitamin D3, which increases the rate of calcium ion, phosphate and magnesium absorption from the GI tract into the blood. So whatever from into the GI tract, whatever food material is there, so from the GI tract food material is there, it will absorb the calcium, phosphate and magnesium from that. This is the effect of calcitriol, which is the activated form of vitamin D3, and it's secreted by this parathyroid hormone. And this level of our calcium and the level of this calcitonin are always produce the effect of homeostasis. Homeostasis can be maintained by the level of calcium ions and the level of calcitonin, which can be secreted from our thyroid gland. The unwitting removal due to the thyroidectomy was lethal. So that's why we cannot remove the thyroid hormone directly from our body. Only unless until if cancerous cell has produced, in that case only you have to remove. Otherwise, we cannot remove the thyroid hormone, thyroid gland from our body. Now this is very important that we should know. This is the regulation, how our body is going to be regulated. By homeostasis, we are regulating our calcium level. That's why both the glands, thyroid gland and parathyroid gland, are depends on each other. Their release, their hormones are interdependent. They are controlling each other functions. So here, this is the first point. When there is high level of calcium in the blood, it stimulates the thyroid gland from the parafollicular cells, from the C cells, to release the more calcitonin. Calcitonin, as we know, it is responsible for slow down or decrease the level of more calcium into the bone. Now what it will do? Here, from here it will come here. Now the calcitonin form has been released. Now it inhibits the osteoclast, thus decreasing the blood calcium level. So whatever the osteoclast is there from the extracellular matrix, osteoclasts are there in the bones. So by doing the bone resorptions, the calcium has been released into the blood and it has been increased into our blood. Now what this calcitonin is doing? They are moving the calcium in opposite direction, means from the blood to the bone. Understood? Means they are doing the mineralization of our bones. they are increasing the bone more strong by enhancing the release of the calcium into the bone. Means entry of calcium is there into the bone. Try to understand. Means bones are becoming more strong here. Now after that, now what happens here? Blood calcium level start to decrease and bone become more strong. Try to understand what is happening here. Bones are becoming more strong and resorption means bones become weak, fragile, means resorption has been hindered or stopped and the bone will become strong, and but the blood level of calcium is going to be declined. Now here low level of calcium, because blood calcium, the calcium in the blood is going to be decreased, and it stimulates the parathyroid hormone or parathyroid hormone to release and from the chip cell and release more parathyroid hormone. So whatever the parathyroid gland is there, from the chip cell it will release the parat hormone, because what is the signal there? It is a signal. Decreased calcium level in blood is the signal which go toward the hypothalamus, and hypothalamus have given order to the parathyroid hormone to release that parathyroid hormone, parathyroid gland to release the parathyroid hormone from the sheep cells. Now from here it will start to release the parathyroid hormone, PTH. Now this PTH, the parathyroid hormone will release, and they promote the increase the release of calcium from the bone extracellular matrix. Is the from the osteoclast they will release the calcium into the bloodstream. Now here the blood calcium will start to increase, because the bones are going to become fragile, means bones are become weak, bones are demineralized. Try to understand here. Now the bones are becoming weak. Understood? So from here the bones releasing that calcium and it gives to the blood, and due to which blood calcium level is going to be increased. And also what it will do, it slows the iron loss calcium into the urine, means it will also give order to the kidney to increase the reabsorption of calcium into the blood, means in blood again the calcium will increase through the kidney, and thus increasing the blood calcium level. By two ways it have worked. One, from the bone it have released the calcium from the extracellular matrix, it will come into the blood, and by second function it have given order to the kidney to increase the reabsorption of calcium, due to which calcium again comes into the systemic blood circulation through paratubular arteries. And after that the PTZ also stimulate the kidneys to release the calcitriol, and also calcitriol is going to be released. And what is this calcitriol? It is activated form of vitamin D3, and what is the role of that? It stimulates the increased absorption of calcium from the food, from the intestine, especially from the small intestine. It will increase the absorption of calcium, and again from the portal vein, from the side of our GIT, absorption of calcium will increase, and due to which again the calcium can be come into the systemic blood circulation through portal hepatic circulation. It will increase the level of calcium again, and the ultimate effect will be there, it will increase the blood calcium level again will come here. In this fashion this cycle go and go and go, continue. Whenever increase this will release, decrease this will release, means if the blood calcium will increase there is release of calcitonin, if the blood calcium will decrease there is release of parathyroid hormone from the parathyroid gland, and also there is role of calcitriol. Okay, so there is three important hormones are there. One is calcitonin, which will release from the thyroid gland, from the parafollicular cells, C cells, and there is parathyroid hormone which will release from the parathyroid gland, and there is the release of calcitriol which is vitamin D3, active form of vitamin D3. So there are three types of hormones are required for doing the homeostasis of calcium level in our body. Okay, so in this fashion we have covered the today's session. Thank you for hearing me. Bye.